Hello, my fellow physical therapy and physical therapist assistant students. My name is Teo Kimaboye, and I'm currently the nominating committee chair-elect on the Student Assembly Board of Directors. And it is my pleasure to introduce you and interview the candidates for the upcoming position of president for the 2021-2022 Student Assembly Board of Directors. Candidates, can you please start by introducing yourselves?
Hi, everybody. My name is Jillian Watson, and I am currently a third-year DPT student at Mercer University in Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks for watching.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kylie Roberts, and I'm currently a third-year DPT student at Sacred Heart University in Fairfield, Connecticut. And thanks for joining and watching.
And I am Chase Kuhn. I'm a third-year student, DPT student at The Ohio State University in Columbus, Ohio. And we all appreciate you tuning in.
Awesome. All right. Let's get into the questions. So we will start with Jillian. What is something that is required to be a leader, and how would you represent that in the role of president?
Yeah, this is a great question. I loved thinking through these questions and just like preparing myself for what kinds of things I felt like needed to be brought to the student assembly. And it's also been really amazing to get to know all of the candidates and see that everyone has been just such an influence on me, even in our group me and how we've kind of banded together. So I think something that's required to be a leader that I'm really passionate about is the ability to be a great listener and a great moderator. And I think especially in the position for president, we are kind of the glue that holds, this other 9 people together, and how do we best take all of the ideas that the 9 other people on our board are coming with, and all of the people that influence them, and listen to what they are telling us about what really matters to them, and then moderating what we need to accomplish in a year. We only get this short amount of time on the student assembly. So what kind of impact can we make in this moment? And then what kinds of things can we build upon for future boards? What kind of things are sustainable that other boards are going to be able to take with them and run with? So I think as president, we need to be good at guidance, and we need to be good at taking in the ideas of others and figuring out what strategies to use to make our board successful and really take care of the issues that are impacting students. So I would say that being a great listener and being a moderator is going to be really important as a leader in this role.
Thank you, Jillian. We're going to move on to the next question for you, Kylie. So how will you ensure all board decisions best represent the entire 30,000 student member assembly?
Thank you, Teo. And yeah, great question. 30,000 seems like such an extreme number, but I would be honored to have the privilege to represent all of you. We have great candidates slated here, so it's just a privilege to be nominated, first of all. So thinking about this question, I actually have some experience, smaller scale experience than 30,000 members. But currently, and now fading out now that I'm on my 3rd year in clinical, but I held the position as class curriculum representative at Sacred Heart University. And this was a position where our main goal and the main reason for us was pretty much to gather feedback from 55 students throughout our class. And our role was to gather the semester feedback and then disseminate all of this information to our professors. So we were pretty much taking this information and the feedback, we called them glows and grows. So the glows, the good things that were happening in the semester, and the grows, the not so good things that we could work on. And we had to figure out strategies in order to disseminate this information to professors who were doing their best, working hard, have a million things going on, research, teaching, a lot of other responsibilities, and find the best way to disseminate that information to these professors. So a really important thing is respect both ways. So that's a way that we made sure to communicate with them. But a way to do this as representing 30,000 members in the student assembly is, I think right now, one of the big issues as a student is we get inundated with emails. I come out of the clinic after a 9-hour day, I'm deleting 30 spam emails in a row right away. So I think the biggest limitation right now is that we're getting inundated by emails, and we need to have an open dialect, more communication in person, or more just on a ground level, either via text message, via GroupMe. I know us students are a lot more responsive via GroupMe than via email when it comes to things like the APTA. So I think using this and then moving forward with it. So we already have a great system of core ambassadors set up. So I think using the core ambassadors and then coming up one step further with key contacts in each state in each and every program. So these key contacts would actually work close with the core ambassadors, but also be the sounding board within the actual school as well. Just creating a kind of closer knit and more dialogue between all the students and the core ambassador. The next level from core ambassador is the vice president, and then having them disseminate this information in order to represent these 30,000 members more properly. Because if we're relying on email feedback, unfortunately, not the most reliable method. So just being on the ground level with students through these key contacts, I think would be the best way to ensure we represent everybody entirely.
Thank you, Kylie. And we're going to move on to Chase for the next question. How would you describe the ideal structure of a leadership board, and what does it take to develop that structure?
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate this question, and having listened to both of these other candidates kind of answer their questions, I want to like restructure how I think this leadership should go. And maybe we need 3 presidents because I'm just so impressed by both of them. But no, I think that our current student assembly board of directors, they've got it right so far. You know, we've got 10 really passionate, driven students that are elected every single year. I think that having all of these people who have their own individual roles, who have applied to be on the board to, you know, foster those things that they are specifically interested in. I think it's a really great structure to really grow in the areas that we want to. And I think that to kind of get this structure, to ensure that, you know, year after year we have a board of directors that is really representative of our student members, is just really to kind of start with making sure that the individuals that are on the board really feel comfortable and empowered to make their voices known. You know, we have students from all over the country, from a variety of different backgrounds and perspectives and lived experiences. And so by encouraging everyone to take a shot at getting on the board, it really just takes the passion, you know, the ins and outs of the positions and what exactly you need to accomplish. Those things are things you can learn, and it really just kind of centers back to that passion, that willingness to serve. And so I think that by really continuing to foster the passion in students and letting them know that, you know, you don't have to know all of the answers before you reach out and, you know, take that leap of faith to get on the board. It's the best way for us to really foster that continued growth and student involvement and continue to have such a strong board as we have for the past few years.
Thank you, Chase. All right, so we're going to move on to the second round of questions. So we will start again with Jillian. Describe your leadership tendencies and how you might use different leadership styles in the role of president.
Yeah, so I don't know if any of you have ever done StrengthsFinder or StrengthsQuest. It's changed names over the years. But one of the things that keeps popping up I've taken the test a couple of times because I'm a little weird about those things. I like them a lot, and you change over time, right? Like the first time I took it was when I was in undergrad, which this is going to age me a little bit, but I started undergrad in 2007. So I have changed in those many years since the first time I took it. But one of the things that has always stuck in my top 5 is this idea that I'm a developer. So this idea that I can see things in people that they may not even see themselves. And I like to, as a leader, kind of pull those things out of them. So what I would really love to do in this situation is come in and get to know the leaders on my board and the leaders that are extended from them, and figure out kind of where they can be challenged, where they can be kind of gently pushed to really succeed in these incredible roles. Like Chase was talking about, these people that are so passionate coming forward. What strategies do we need to come up with so that they can be successful in the things that they want to do? And how can I be a vehicle for them to get these things done? And some of the different strategies and things that I want to not necessarily get better at, but really utilize, that I don't feel like I get to utilize in a lot of other leadership positions, is this idea of being a real advocate and a speaker for this group of people. And so a leadership style in this particular role is one that I need to be able to go in front of the APTA board of directors, other, school program directors, and tell them about the people that are developing their skills on my board and how we can help really represent this group of students and the 30,000 students that the 10 of us are working really hard to really show that they matter to us, and that the things that the students want to see done are going to get done. I take that responsibility really seriously, and I think that it's just a really amazing opportunity to be able to lead these leaders, kind of push them forward, almost lead from behind, or bottom up leadership, as I like to call it, where I'm the support system. I'm the resource gatherer, if you will, and can take anything that they want to do and try to make it happen, and put them in the forefront of what their goals and dreams are for the Student Assembly.
Thank you, Jillian. We're going to move on to the next question for you, Kylie. So, as a president of any group of individuals, what does it take to remain diplomatic in all communications and situations?
Thank you. First of all, I think Jillian hit on it really well. We have 10 members coming to the table with different backgrounds, with different passions and different experiences. So this is going to be an important thing to just keep in mind as a president. There's people coming from all different backgrounds with different opinions. So I think first and foremost, the most important thing is respect. So I alluded to this before when talking about the class representative position, but the first and foremost thing is respect. So whether this is respect to not only listen, but to actually hear what people are saying, and give everybody the time that they deserve to speak their opinion, first of all. Or even if it's the respect to end up telling them, listen, I know you're passionate about this, but this isn't the best interest for the group. Giving them the respect, telling them that, making sure that all the goals are aligned with the group goals, and making sure that that's clear as well. The other thing that I think is very important is humility also in a role like president. So being humble, and I'm sure everybody has experienced this with going out on clinicals and everything. You're in your didactic semester and you think you can't know anymore, and then you go out on clinical and you know nothing. So keeping in mind, being humble and knowing that you don't know everything, and making sure that you ask opinions of others and you take that input. And then lastly, I think it's very important in a role of president to have a zoomed out perspective. So of course, ourselves, we're going to be passionate about certain opinions as well. But since we are the president and in charge of delegation and making sure we are diplomatic, making sure that we have that zoomed out perspective, making sure the opinions of everybody is heard, and making sure that we're making the best decision on behalf of the group and what the group's goal and vision is, especially for the goal of the 2021 to 2022 board of directors.
Thank you, Kylie. I'm going to move on to the last question for you, Chase. So what are some ways you think the Student Assembly Board of Directors should increase student activism and government affairs at the national level?
Yeah, I feel like this question, I know before we got on this talk, though, everyone was like, Chase, this question was made for you. And honestly, I feel like it's made for everyone. A little cheesy to say, but I have been fortunate, in my second year my first year into my second year, I was selected to be on our Student Assembly's advocacy project committee, where I really didn't know anything going into it, but knew that I wanted to be involved. And I, tend to have this kind of storyteller aspect to me. And I thought, well, I'll give it a try. I'll see what I can do. Maybe I can make a difference. And it really, honestly, ignited a huge passion for me with advocacy, and especially as it relates to these kind of governmental affairs and speaking with our legislators. This past year, I was able to serve on the board as the SBT delegate, and I was able to be the liaison to our advocacy project committee. So just kind of continuing that line of communication with these students who don't necessarily have to have, and I feel like this kind of gets back to the last question you asked, like, you don't have to know everything, you just have to be willing to put in the time and the effort. We've got some really important things coming down the pipeline in regards to governmental affairs. We've got a really strong team of APTA staffers that cover these things. We've got Justin Elliott and Mike Matlack with David Scala, and with our grassroots efforts with Laura Keeble. They are a tremendous wealth of information, and they're all just so opening and welcome to teach our students about the things that are going on that are going to have huge impacts on us. And so I think the biggest thing is knowing that our students, we want to learn. We absolutely care about the future of our profession. It's just sometimes we don't know exactly how to get involved or what we should do with our stories, with our passion. And so I think the Student Assembly Board can really just start to harness ways to get these students involved, whether it's through the Advocacy Project Committee and hosting national advocacy dinners. These are things that can happen at the drop of a hat. They're not incredibly difficult to set up, but the impact of them is so tremendous. Just letting people know about this year we've got Medicare cuts again coming down the line, specifically as they relate to our PTAs and our future, our student physical therapist assistants. There's a potential 15% cut to reimbursement for PTAs, which is just, not acceptable. We've got the potential that physical therapy could potentially lose access to, telehealth and reimbursement for telehealth services. We're working towards getting physical therapists on loan forgiveness programs with the government. Like, these things are really important, and our students are really passionate about them. And so it's really just making sure that students know that they have the ability to make their stories known, and that these congresspersons, they want to know these stories. The student voice is really impactful, not only within our organization, but outside of our organization. We're the people entering into the profession, and our legislators know that, we are the ones that are driving it forward. And so by empowering our students to know that their voices matter, and that, they don't have to know everything, but as long as they can tell their story, it has the potential to have a really big impact. And that's what I think the Student Assembly Board could really narrow in this year, specifically as it relates to activism and government affairs.
Thank you, Chase. So before we end the interview, obviously we have to make sure the students know what else is there amongst these candidates. We talked about a lot of great questions, but we like to spice it up a little bit, add some fun to it. So for the last question, this one's going to be just a quick little fire round. So who is your favorite fictional character? And we'll go in the same rotation. So Jillian, you can start first.
So I'm a Harry Potter girl, but my favorite fictional character from Harry Potter is Minerva McGonagall, because I love that she is this just kind of intense presence, kind of when you first meet her, but then you realize that she's a little, fun and kind of sneaky in her ways of getting around things, and she ends up really kind of pushing the limits a little bit, just things you wouldn't expect from someone who presents herself in that way. She's really tough, but then on the inside, she's kind of mushy. And I just absolutely love her. And I think that she's really, I've just loved seeing her character progress over that series.
Thank you. We'll move on to Kylie for your favorite fictional character.
Yeah, I have to say, going on with a tough woman here in fictional characters is, I guess mine would be Katniss Everdeen from the Hunger Games. Another definitely tough, family-loving, super passionate about it, intelligent woman, and we got some girl power going on here. She was also aging myself, also not the opposite direction. My 14th birthday party was Hunger Games themed, so I got some ties to liking my Hunger Games. So
Thank you, Kylie. And then lastly, Chase, who is your favorite fictional character?
Yeah, so we're gonna keep the girl power going. The character I chose is also gonna date me, and maybe I hope that people watching this know who I'm talking about, but honestly, I feel bad if you've never seen the Magic School Bus, but Miss Frizzle, I think, is maybe my all-time favorite character. I just remember being so excited coming home from elementary school and, you know, turning on the Magic School Bus, or if it was on in the morning, honestly, I forget when, but this woman was just like the ideal teacher. I was like, why can't I have a Miss Frizzle? Like, she was energetic, she was super charismatic, you know, she had a little bit of magic, which I thought was super cool, but it was just like, you know, honestly, I credit a lot of my interest into science and into anatomy, all the things that, you know, drive PTs, to this cartoon character, this Miss Frizzle, because she was just so engaging and irreverent and just so much fun. And honestly, I strive to be like her in my everyday life, in that, you know, you can tackle some pretty tough things, like, I don't know, valves is one of the episodes that I remember in the human body, but like, it doesn't have to be boring, you know, everything can have a little bit of fun. And so honestly, I think I owe a lot to who I am today to Miss Frizzle and the Magic School Bus.
you also had some killer outfits too, Chase.
I was just gonna say that the skirts were really on point.
Yep.
Those are all great answers. So thank you all for your fun question. So fellow students, thank you for joining us in this interview. These are the candidates for the president position for the 2021-2022 Student Assembly Board of Directors. All students will be able to vote between October 7th to November 6th on the candidate webpage that's on apta.org. Thank you for joining us, and until we meet again.